My name's Bill. I'm one of the manatee biologists with FWC. And today we're going to take you around the state to our manatee field labs and just show you all the steps in the process of rescuing a manatee. So usually the first step in the process is the report itself. So someone from the public will see a manatee that they're concerned about and they'll call our hotline, which is 888-404-3922. And from there, depending where they are in the state, it'll get routed to one of our 5 field labs.
Yeah, it's Sarah with FWC Manatee Research. Just give me a call about that manatee you were concerned about. Yeah.
From there, our biologists will then call the citizen back and see what's going on with the manatee, what the nature of the concern is, how big is it, are there other animals with it, just try to get some basic information for assessment. The other thing we usually ask for are photos or some videos, just again to try to get an idea of what's going on with the animal. If it is one we're concerned about, we'll then send what we call a first responder, which could be one of our staff, a volunteer, one of our interns, an FWC officer, or a partner from another group. And they'll get with the animal, either observing it by land, getting in a kayak or on a boat, to then observe the animal and assess its behavior and see what's going on with it. If it is an animal that we're concerned about, we'll then kind of move forward with putting our rescue plan together, and we'll just kind of start putting a team together and our actual plan.
So there's quite a few reasons why we rescue manatees. One of the most common reasons is for watercraft injuries, which could be boat or jet skis. So we have blunt force trauma, which basically happens when the manatee is struck by the hull of the boat. The second category for watercraft injuries is from propeller wounds. Another reason we rescue manatees is for entanglements. We have trap entanglements, which generally are crab traps. Fishing line entanglements are the other type of entanglement we rescue manatees for. We also rescue manatees for cold stress. As you might imagine, this is generally in the winter and colder months. We also rescue orphan calves, and these are small animals that have been separated from their mother and are unlikely to survive if left on their own in the wild. Red tide exposure is another issue for manatees. Often in these cases, the manatees are unresponsive and oftentimes even need help getting their head up for a breath. Entrapments are another reason why we rescue manatees. This often happens after high water events like hurricanes or a lot of heavy rain over a few days, where manatees get access to areas they normally wouldn't be able to access. Occasionally, manatees get tidally stranded as well. This can happen for any number of reasons. It could be an animal that's feeding in an area and the tide just goes out quick and they're left stuck behind in a mud flat or something like that. Or occasionally there's a bigger issue going on with the manatee and they will beach themselves.
Alright guys, now we're going to send you over to Andy at our Northwest Field Lab in St. Petersburg, and he's going to take you through the process of actually rescuing the manatees.
Thanks, Bill. How you guys doing? I'm Andy Garrett with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's Marino-Pathobiology Lab here in St. Petersburg, Florida. So once we know a manatee needs to be rescued, we start evaluating our different resources. So for us, our resource would be our capture team, which can be our staff, our volunteers, partners from other organizations, and our equipment like the boat behind me. So when we look at a manatee and the situation it's in, we decide, can we do it that day with the resources we have and what's going on with the animal? Now, if it's late in the day, or if it's bad weather, we may postpone to the next day. But once we determine what we're going to need to use, then we decide what capture techniques we're going to use. For manatees that are very sick, or manatees suffering from red tide, they'll often be in really shallow water or up on the beach, and we'll use a stretcher or sling to move the manatee and get it to our transport truck. If the manatee's mobile, if it's a small manatee and it's mobile, we'll use our hoop net. A hoop net looks a lot like a butterfly net, except it's a lot bigger. So there's a long pole with an opening and a long bag, and the animal will swim into our net and we'll grab it and pull it to shore. Sometimes the manatee thrashes, but we'll pull it over to shore and get it out of the water. So if the manatee is active but swimming near shore, we can do a land-based set. In those cases, we will deploy some of our team on shore and put the net in the water in front of the animal, either by walking it or deploying it off the back of our capture boat. And once the manatee swims into the net, we work as a team to sweep the animal up onto the beach. People will be on the inside of the net working the lead line, which is the heavy line that keeps the manatee from going underneath the net, and people on the outside pulling the float line keep the manatee from going out. And once the manatee is bagged up, we'll sweep it back up onto the beach. One of our most valuable pieces of rescue equipment is our manatee capture boat. One of the great things about the capture boat is that the motor is placed up in the front of the boat. That allows the whole back of the boat for us to do our operations without worrying about the manatee or the net getting caught up in the propeller. If the manatee is actively swimming offshore and is not near shore, we'll use our capture boat to catch it in a complete open water set. That involves encircling the manatee with our net as it deploys off the back of our boat, And then once the manatee's in our net, we'll start as a team working the net back onto the boat. People on the inside will be working the lead line again. That's the heavy line that keeps the manatee from going out. And there'll be a float line that keeps the manatee from going over the top. And we use human strength to bag the animal up, pull it up onto the boat.
Pull! Pull! Okay, what's your rep? What's your rep? 1, 2, 3, pull! 1, 2, 3, pull! 1, 2, 3, pull!
Once it's on the boat, we'll put the backboard, which is a transom, in place to keep the manatee from leaving. Now, manatees usually, even if they're sick or injured, won't be thrashing around on the deck of the boat. We'll use our weight to restrain them to protect both the manatee and the people on the boat. Now we're going to send you over to our Southeast Field Lab, and they're going to tell you what we do with the manatee after we capture it.
Thanks, Andy. Hey everyone, it's Amber at the Southeast Field Lab in Tequesta. After a manatee is rescued, we need to be able to get it to a critical care facility. We do that by using one of our transport trucks like you see behind me. In order to carry the manatee, we use a stretcher that has handles to allow for multiple people to help lift. We place straps under the manatee by seesawing back and forth in order to place 2 or 3 straps depending on the size of the manatee. Once the straps are in place, if the manatee is small enough, we can lift straight up on the straps and move it into the stretcher. Otherwise, we carefully roll the manatee up on its side using the straps and tuck half of the stretcher underneath the manatee. We slowly lower the manatee back down, then gently roll the manatee onto its other side to pull the stretcher out. Once the manatee is fully in the stretcher, we use numerous people to help carry the manatee to our truck. Our trucks have lift gates on the back, which will help lift the manatee up so we can carry it inside. These lift gates can hold 3,000 pounds. We make sure to keep a few staff members on the lift gate with the manatee to make sure it doesn't react. Once the manatee is inside the truck, it is placed on soft foam pads, and staff members will stay next to the manatee during transport to monitor its behavior, breath rate, and make sure it stays comfortable. During summer months, we keep the manatee cool and moist by pouring water over its body frequently. During winter months, we keep the manatees dry and cover them with a blanket. When transporting calves, we keep them in a pool full of water so they can breathe comfortably. Staff will stay next to their side and assist them with breaths as needed. Now we're going to go to our Northeast Field Lab to learn about critical care facilities.
Thanks, Amber, and welcome everyone to the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens, one of 4 critical care facilities in the state of Florida, along with Miami Sea Aquarium, SeaWorld of Orlando, and Zoo Tampa. These rehabilitation facilities take in rescued manatees at all hours, and many of their patients require around-the-clock care. When the manatee arrives, it takes a coordinated effort between the transport team and the critical care staff to transfer the manatee from the transport truck to the pool. When a manatee first arrives at a critical care facility, a weight is taken to help monitor the manatee's health.
Claire, 510.
There's a lot that goes into manatee critical care, and a lot of it depends on why the animal was rescued. Today, the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens is working up one of the animals that was struck by watercraft and is being rehabilitated here at their facility. Let's check in and see what they're doing for their procedures. Injured manatees tend to be dehydrated, so fluids are provided, such as water and electrolytes. The veterinarians may also give antibiotics and medications. Water is poured on the manatee, which stimulates the manatee to take a breath. Blood is also drawn to learn more about what's going on inside the manatee's body, and radiographs may be taken to check for broken bones.
Are you conducting a left lateral?
Some manatees have a short stay at the manatee critical care pools before being released back into the wild. However, some may have longer stays, such as orphaned calves. And after a successful rehabilitation, manatees go back to the wild. So let's splash on over to the Southwest Field Lab for a release. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Nadia. Now we're going to learn about manatee releases. A veterinarian experience in manatee medicine determines that a manatee is ready to be released when it is medically cleared from any health issues, it is nutritionally independent, it is at least 200 centimeters in length and 600 pounds in weight, and exhibits normal behaviors. These behaviors include being able to eat natural vegetation at the top and bottom of the water column and have typical breathing, swimming, and diving patterns.
Before a manatee is released, a health assessment is conducted. This pre-release workup includes blood work, taking a genetic sample, applying pit tags, which are similar to the tags that are put in your pets, taking measurements and weight, and full photo ID documentation so we can identify the manatee if we see it again.
Once the manatee is cleared by a veterinarian and loaded into the transport truck, the rehabilitation team then transports the manatee to the chosen release location. Next, the transport team meets the release crew at the release location, where they're sometimes greeted by a crowd of excited citizens.
Biologists will open the truck and help the manatee care team move the manatee out to a soft foam mat. We take additional final pictures for photo identification purposes, and then the team, which includes the citizens that reported the manatee, local and FWC law enforcement, FWC biologists that conducted the rescue, and the rehab facility's animal care team, carry the manatee in the stretcher down the ramp into deeper water, where it is able to swim freely back into the wild. If it is a mom and a calf, we will walk them together into the water, and they are released at the same time. It is a great day for all of those that helped with the rescue success.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed learning about manatee rescue, rehabilitation, and release. If you see a sick or injured manatee, please call the FWC Wildlife Alert Hotline at 1-888-404-3922. In addition to calling the FWC Wildlife Alert Hotline, you can help protect manatees and other Florida wildlife by keeping trash and debris out of the water, participating in waterway and beach cleanups, recycling used monofilament in designated receptacles, abiding by posted speed and manatee zone signs, wearing polarized sunglasses to help reduce glare on the surface of the water, and when boating, avoid boating in shallow waters and seagrass beds, especially when at high speeds. To support manatee rescue and conservation efforts, please purchase a Save the Manatee license plate or decal and donate to one of our manatee rescue partners. We hope you have a wonderful day.